Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you for episode 208. The last couple episodes I've been doing, I'm here with Keith. Keith, introduce yourself. What's your name?
My name is Keith.
You want to say your last name? If you don't want to say you don't want to say your last name?
No, we'll keep it on the
Okay,
side.
people know who you are because you're a mechanic here in Key Largo.
Yes, I do.
Keith is one of my regular customers that comes in to the Catch in Key Largo. And it's right next, well, he's a mechanic here. I don't want to say give it away. He's right next to work and stuff like that. You know, people are going to know you in town. It's not going to be a big deal. They're not going to look for you. He works at the garage down the street from me. And we met, how long ago was that? When I first started, like 3 years ago?
Yep, about 3 years.
3 years? Yep. And you're a Florida boy, right?
Well, I was raised down here, yes.
Okay. Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, see, is this going to be like, I'm going to talk about that thing where you talk about your ex-girlfriend. We're not going to talk about it right now. We'll talk about it later on. But you have interesting catchphrases right there. So now, I said you're a Florida boy, and you said, but I was raised down here. What do you consider yourself?
Florida. I've been here since I was 6 months old.
Oh, okay. I thought you had an interesting story there for a second because you qualified the statement that you're, maybe I'm making a bit more of it than it really is. Keith, so you grew up here. Where'd you grow up?
In Key Largo.
In Key Largo? You went to Key Largo Elementary? You went to Coral Shores?
I went to Key Largo, and then I went to Plantation Key, and then to Coral Shores.
So your family was from here, like your parents?
No.
Okay.
My family's from Illinois.
Okay, and they moved down here when
I was young.
Okay. So they moved down here. What did your parents do?
My dad was worked at Ocean Reef as maintenance. Uh-huh. And my mom was a housekeeper at Ocean Reef.
Okay. So Ocean Reef is a gated community technically in Key Largo, but it's almost like it's in and of itself has an extra territorial government of its own. The Ocean Reef association, Orca, they run their own system. They have their own police force or fire department. They're still part of the county, but they're not totally part of the county. In order to get into Ocean Reef, it's a gated community, so you have to go through a gate. And the funny thing about that, and get back to it, we'll get back to your parents originally, I do say a lot of arrests that are made in Key Largo are made at the gate of Ocean Reef when there are contractors or people coming into work and they don't realize that when they turn over their ID that there's going to be, they put it in a database and they check and they say, oh, wait here for a minute. And all of a sudden the cops show up and they go and arrest them for an out-of-state warrant. So many times I see that. But that's not your case for your family stuff. So your family worked up there. They knew each other up in Illinois, or they met down here?
No, they were married in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago? Oh, they're from the big city, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So since you grew up down here, you kind of know there's not much of an accent down here.
No.
No, it's just like you sound like you could be from Chicago.
Well,
just like I could be
born.
from Philadelphia. No, but I mean, or the people down here, I guess because they're hodgepodge of different people. They got that kind of middle American accent down here in the Keys. You don't have a lot of, you have a lot of people that have been here for generations. I mean, you have some people from here for generations. And then a lion's share of came in post World War II. And, just kicked it. I guess it really picked up in the 60s and 70s when your folks came in. Your folks came in the late 60s?
Early 60s.
Early 60s. Oh.
They've been coming here for a long time before I was born.
Oh, okay.
But they moved down here like in 68.
Yeah. So you grew up down here. Did you travel up? Did you have, we're so close to Miami. You had access to the big city. But did you ever, when you were young, were you taken back up when you were, able to be more coherent of your surroundings? Go up to Chicago and see the big city, real big city?
I visited about 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. When you were young?
When I was growing up.
Yeah?
Older, a little bit older, in my teens.
Yeah. But, okay, so you're a small town guy right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to spend all your time in school and all that stuff, and then you were in the Army, right?
Yep.
How long you were in the Army?
11 years.
11 years. Were you a mechanic in the Army? Was that one of your?
That was one of my MOSs, yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, 11 years. That's great, man. So, and then you were all over, huh?
Yeah.
Were you, did we just talk about this before?
Yes,
were you
we
in Korea?
No.
Were you in the Far East?
No.
No? Where were you mainly?
I went to, I've been to Panama.
Yeah.
Been to Puerto Rico, Louisiana, Georgia.
Okay. So you've been around
A little bit.
Yeah, and you came. When you finished up, you came back here.
Well, I was in the reserves mostly.
Oh, so you were working here
as a mechanic.
and then going out.
National Guard.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. What years were you in?
I went in 83.
83. Oh, were you down in Panama during the when they made that little trip into?
No, I didn't get to go there.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So yeah, that was 1988, 89, something like that. A couple years before the first Persian
Right,
Gulf.
and they didn't send the National Guard over there. So.
Yeah. So you were moving all around. So you did get even more exposure when you graduated high school and you were in the Army National Guard. You moved all around and stuff like that. So, but people in the Keys have a unique perspective. You don't have you don't seem to have that attitude that people have about, the visitors. They say, I work with some people that are servers and shit like that, and they got stickers on their car and says, pick up, pick up the speed. Not everyone's down here is on vacation. And I'm like, your income is dependent on the people you're insulting or the people you're suggesting they're slow. And there are people that drive down the road and they're not exactly sure where they're going. They got to make a right and left turn. But you work on their cars, not just, most of it is probably the people that live here, but then you have people that do drive down here.
And we have some people, that I depend on because when they're down here, their car breaks, they have to have it fixed.
Yeah.
So they can't get back home.
Yep.
So that's part of my livelihood.
Mm-hmm. And we had this discussion. You're one of the few people that are in the, I just wanted to talk about in the beginning about your livelihood and what you do, and and then we could get into a general conversation. But you're one of the few mechanics I've met, moving right along, that sees the future with the electric vehicles. And that's pretty much of an open mind. You're the same age as I am. A lot of people would be reluctant to endorse that technology because it signals a transition for their industry. And you embraced it. You and the person, I don't want to call him that, your boss.
The owner.
You embrace that and you see the change in the future. You're preparing for it. You've been to school for it, and you're ready to learning about the battery packs and things like that. Do you hear about so if you think about it, there's going to be a great disruption in the years to come. Maybe not right now, but look what happened this last a week and a half ago in Saudi Arabia. A couple drones came in. And they had billions of dollars worth of air defense thing, and they probably flew in a couple $1 million worth of drones and destroyed a good part of their oil production capability. And that means we're so functional when it comes to electricity. You could blow a power grid up, but if people get more, let's say they get more savvy with doing their own generation, using wind, solar, and things like that. Electric vehicles and electric houses, you're becoming self-sustaining. You're not dependent on that. The chain gets a lot stronger, meaning you get the power, you got the power company supplying it, and you have your own supply too. So with you embrace that, and you see it in the future. But there's a lot of people, the parts companies, they got to hate that, right?
Well, in my business, industry,
yeah.
A lot of people get scared of new things. Older people like myself,
Yep.
They don't want to learn. They get lazy.
Much like it did with the technological revolution when it came to computers. A lot of people didn't want to do that. And they're reluctant to use social media and things like that. I see people that have small companies, and their social media is just sitting there. It's just sitting there, and it's free. I mean, imagine if you were allowed to put your own articles in the newspaper without paying them. And the only thing that stops people from reading it is how exciting the tag you can put in to bring them in. Like I do it for the restaurant. I do that Martini Mondays, and you've seen what. Have you been in there?
Yeah, I've been there.
You see what happens on Martini Mondays. It's been about a month, maybe 5 weeks, and it's killing me because I remember for about the first hour and 10 minutes, I'm just cranking out martinis. But that we don't do any advertising in the newspaper anymore because social media, especially the people you want to reach, is you could get if you're going to run like newspapers, if you want to run a ad for like an early bird special for senior citizens, the newspaper is still the good way to go. But you'd be surprised how many senior citizens are on social media now. So, you could probably get 50% of them. There's the old horror line was, hey, mom's on Facebook. But nowadays it's taken as an acceptance, just like when cell phones first came out. Remember? You started seeing them back in you saw the big bag phones in the 80s?
The Motorola's.
Yeah, the big ones. And then you started trying to figure out technologies like they're selling cell frequencies. They were auctioning off. The FCC was auctioning off cell frequencies because it were public airwaves, and they didn't want anybody to get one monopoly, one company to get it. So they figured to offer it for auction. But then companies started buying them up anyway. So I told a little story weeks ago, 2001. My wife at the time, my ex-wife now, she was talking to AT&T about how crappy their long business plan is. And she goes, well, and she goes, well, you're going to lose the person on the phone. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to keep us. You're going to have to keep us. And she goes, no, I don't. And she goes, and the person on the line goes, what are you going to use, your cell phone? And you know what? In 2002, we get digital. We didn't have any kids. They said, you need the emergency line. They said, at least you need the emergency line. And then they started providing a $12 service. It's such like a fuck you statement. What are you going to do without us? And then someone says, well, someone's going to come and say it. And then whenever you get a monopoly, when you create a monopoly, I think this is what happened with fossil fuel industry and stuff like that. When you create a monopoly, you're actively asking people to say, I dare you to try to disrupt this. So, mechanics, you got brake wear. I guess there's less, the brakes will always be kind of a thing they're going to have to do for electric cars. But it's less because of the regenerative braking systems they have, right?
Yeah, well, they use the electric motors to slow the engines down.
Yeah, and the wheels, too.
Well, they use a stator to slow it down.
And you can make it aggressive or you can make it more passive. But it's taking that energy that you have from the braking, the physics. So you think, you have the momentum going, you take it, and you're transferring back a certain segment of it. And that's getting even more efficient. So in a city, ideally, driving on the highway, if it works right, driving on the highway versus city will be a slight decrease because you'll always lose a little because there's no perpetual motion. But you're recovering more of that stopping thing, and you'll be able to, let's say if you can even recover 75% of the power braking when you had that, it's just the way it is. When you're driving down the road and you're driving in a machine, the electric motor, 85% efficient?
At least, yeah.
85%, maybe 92%. Oh, yeah, it could be 92%. Yeah. But the internal combustion motor is below 35?
Yeah, I'd say about 25.
20, okay, because a lot of that's heat, exhaust, and all that stuff goes.
And emissions.
But I didn't know a lot of people will go and say, well, you're not, for the motor itself, it's efficient, but it depends on where you get the energy from, the emissions that you generate. So if you're using a coal-fired plant, it's generating emissions too.
Oh,
but if you use cleaner, yeah. Well, I mean, the plant is.
Yeah.
So you got to factor that in but when you're using petroleum, it's not just the car that you're factoring an internal combustion engine. The pollutants that come off there and the inefficiencies there, it's the extraction and refinement of the fuel that creates. It also has a footprint, and people never go back into that. If you want to go in deep and say, hey, there's a footprint you're creating by developing energy for an electric car, well, then you better include the footprint for the extraction and the refinement and delivery of the fuel, because you got to use the diesel truck.
Well, see, there's other fuels out there. You could run an engine on propane.
You could run it on the grease we use in our fryers.
Well, they make diesel fuel
diesel,
from it.
Yeah, biodiesel.
Biodiesel.
Yeah, you have ethanol. You have the corn-derived one. All the that's bio. Is that biodiesel or that's that's ethanol? Ethanol. And the most ironic thing someday will be if there's going to be a tipping point where trucks are going to start making trucks with replaceable packs, electric, as you get longer and longer life. Supposedly they're going to have I wouldn't be surprised if next year or the year after there'll be 5 and then 7, 800-mile battery packs. Next year they're supposed to introduce, Tesla's talking about introducing the 1,000,000-mile battery pack, which I'm sure when it's first introduced, just like the big screen televisions, that'll be a premium, right?
Yeah, remember when the big screen came out? The big old box?
Yeah, the big old box.
They got the flat screen.
Yeah. It looked like a puppet. It looked like a Punch and Judy puppet thing. Yeah. Like you could put someone inside that. And it weighed a couple 100 pounds.
Yep.
The production. And it was kind of a crappy picture. It was a big picture. But it was kind of a crappy picture considered the solid state screens that were getting up to like 38.
Well, the first ones were the projectors.
Yeah, the projectors.
That had the projectors in the back. They weren't about the worst.
Yeah. Fuzzy around the edges and shit like that. And then you had to have your room dark and shit like that. And then you had the big box.
Right.
And then they started getting them a little thinner. And then all of a sudden the explosion, flat screen. And the first couple of flat screens came out. You know, that picture was good, but it could hang on a wall. And it just changed your dynamic of, just having that. And you still had you still needed the boxes. You still need a VCR or DVD player.
Yeah, but your living spaces got bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
Because you didn't have a big box against the wall.
Yeah, and it became more efficient, actually, less of a draw on power. And nowadays, $700.
Yep.
You got the size of a theater, one of those multiplexes in your house. Someone told me they have a little house and they got a 70-inch television. They said, how far was your sofa from it? She goes, 5 feet. I know, but I think you have to have the distance has to be equal to the size of the screen for comfortable viewing. It's like sitting up on that in the movie theater.
In the front row.
Front row, man. You got your fucking neck looking up. It's shitty. Why do you put seats up there and you say, there has to be some guy with a conscience say, fuck this. I'm never gonna put my theater customers through this. I'm just gonna put it back 30 feet from this, and every seat in the house will be good. And then you have the ones that want to sit in the back and the center and the side. But if you have a side, I remember as a kid, they didn't really think about it much. These big old movie theaters, they were right up on the screen. It's a shitty seat in the house. You never felt, you get some asshole kids that sit up there, but they sit, if you sit all the way on one side in the front, that is one crappy movie experience.
You're old enough to know. You're my age.
Yeah.
When was the first time you went to drive drive-in movie?
My first one, I don't even remember. I think it was like 5 years old. I remember seeing, it was, I'm sure I went before, but I think they waited until we were like 5 and 6 and 7 because, kids are a pain in the ass to take the movies. But we saw those, there were a bunch of motorcycle flicks and stuff like that. There was we didn't see Easy Rider because that was more adult, but we did see, there were ones like these guys who were Vietnam guys coming back, veterans are coming back from Vietnam, and the motorcycle gangs terrorizing their girls, and they go out after them and stuff like that. I remember seeing a movie like that. And then when I was about 12 and 13, Jaws came out, and that was it. I saw Jaws on a drive-in movie theater.
Well, let me tell you about
It had
Jaws.
an egg roll, a cheeseburger, and stuff. That was the best experience. What were you going to say?
Well, when I seen Jaws, it was my first movie in the drive-in.
Oh, it was? Oh, was it up in Homestead?
Yes, in Homestead. Then it was a flea market during the day and driving at night. But,
that's a good way to.
Yeah, but I was watching a movie in the back of a Ford with my girlfriend, and I guess I was about 10.
Yeah. With your girlfriend?
Yeah, her mom drove us up there.
Hey, listen, we're going to take a break right now. I'm going to get into that. It's funny. We're talking about that. It's going, you bastard.
Whether you're one of our regular visitors to the Florida Keys or you can't wait to visit for the first time, you'll want to stay up to date on everything that's going on in the Florida Keys. To learn all the secrets, tips, and the stuff we don't talk about to anyone but each other, visit 43keys.com. Sign up for our newsletter and never miss any of the exciting things we have planned for you. That's 43 Keys, the number 4, the number 3, keys.com.
Hey, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming back. We were just, I'm here with Keith, mechanic and a good customer of ours at The Catch, and we were talking about movie theaters and going to the drive-in movie theater, and you went up to Homestead to see Jaws with your girlfriend at 10. That opens a whole bunch of... It was a funny thing about drive-ins. We talk about that before. My mom almost took us to see, she thought she was taking us to Flash Gordon. Where she was ready to take us in. We were driving up to the ticket booth in the car, and the guy looks and he goes, "What are you taking these kids there? This is Flash Gordon." And my mom wasn't really paying attention and stuff like that. And at that time, they were in the late 70s, let's say 76, 77, 78, the transition for some of these movies, because they started making the sound improvements. They had sense around when they had the movies. What that movie? Earthquake, Midway, Towering Inferno, and they just put extra speakers with a heavy bass, and you'd feel it, when you do it. And they tried to do that. I think they tried to do it in the 50s and 60s, where they put vibrating things under your seat just to enhance the experience. The same thing with 3D glasses, but that movie Flash Gordon, a lot of these drive-in movie theaters, especially when it was high school, they started converting them even more and more, and then it became adult ones, hard R, soft X, not super filthy, but pretty much. And then people going to a drive-in movie theater, and sometimes they may come with a girl, but mostly someone by themselves. I guess it's better than going to one of those. They had these movie theaters in Philadelphia, and you knew, just like they show it on TV, guys go, if you're in a movie theater watching a porn, you can, at that moment, there's something going on, and get people that normally stay for, making a theatrical release of a movie, a porn movie, because it's mainly for just jerking off. I can imagine if they had cloth seats, what that would be like. How disgusting that would be. I mean, that's one of the things that you have the plastic sheet, like you see in those old ladies used to put on their sofas.
As long as I didn't have to clean it.
Oh, my God.
What about Pee Wee Herman?
Well, that's exactly what would happen. But if you go in there, a lot of times there's some people that watch and maybe they got photographic memories and, well, I'm going to just remember this till later on and I'll go home and I'm going to take care of things. But I digress. So it's funny, and we're going to start talking about how we met and some of the funny things in a restaurant. But you mentioned you had a girlfriend when you were 10. And if listeners heard before, I want to tell them the story about that comment you made about one of your former one. And he started saying to me, what was it? Your ex-Cuban girlfriend. And I said, the order where you put the X in it, you could say my Cuban ex-girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend who's Cuban, my Cuban-American ex-girlfriend. But ex-Cuban, it's probably true in two ways because she was a Cuban national, now probably she's American, right?
Yes.
Okay, so she is an ex-Cuban national.
She came over.
And if you say it that way, you're hiding the possibility that may not always be the same thing. So after putting much thought into it, I realized, and it could have been that she is no more too. That's a bad one too. That's the worst case scenario. When you say the ex-mechanic, meaning is he dead or he's not a mechanic anymore? Or, no, it's just my friend, my ex-mechanic friend, stuff like that. So, yeah, you have a lot, and that's when I asked you that question. The reason we brought a reminder is I said, so you're from the Keys. And we go, you're a Keys person. And you said, I was raised in the Keys. And I go, well, being a baby in the Keys doesn't change what you are. I think your formative years for a Keys kid is when you start going on the water and stuff, like really doing it around 4, 5. And some kids go, well, I was 3 years old, I was doing this shit. Like, okay, whatever. You really don't know until you start remembering those things. And that's what your formative years are, the shit you do, like down here. And everyone, you always hear comments about Keys kids, like they're exposed. Because there's a big drinking culture down there, isn't it?
That's what they come here for. Drinking and fishing.
Yeah, that's your idea. What a drinking town with a fishing problem, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So I came. Well, you know what? I'm not making light of that because when I came down here, it's funny. We were talking. I'm playing. Alexa, turn down the volume. I'm sorry, folks. I was playing meditation music in the background. So when I first came down here, we discussed something about meditation. Keith does meditation when he wakes up in the middle of the night. You did it before, right?
Yeah, I always do it.
What do you do? Guided meditations, or
guided
you just do
sleep meditation?
Guided sleep meditation. You ever try something? Okay, that's something it's funny when it comes. It's not as weird as someone may think that a mechanic would be into meditations because there was a what was the name of the book in the movie? The Art of Zen and Motorcycle Mechanics or something like that. Motorcycle repair. And it would make sense that certain jobs that have, certain knowledge and you have to clear your mind, you have to think about solutions and things like that. But you mentioned that you went to a local place or a local meeting place for one of these 12-step programs has a weekly meditation meeting. And I was in AA for 7 years. And I told you originally when I came down here, one of the reasons I had a dream of that here's a place that no one's going to judge me.
No, they can't.
They can't. No, I'm at the Keys. No. Because there's so many of them. And even from every step of society, unless you get to even some of the religious ones, even the people, religious people, said it's so much drinking and stuff like that. From, if you go into Alabama and stuff like that, the hardcore Baptists, you don't see them drink that much. Or the Jewish people, or I was going to say Catholic, but Catholics drinkers. We have wine in this ceremony. So I'm surprised they didn't introduce the bourbon.
Well, that'd be good.
Drink the bourbon. Yeah, we had Keith is a bourbon drinker, which we're going to approach that. And look at this. We're only 30 minutes into it, but we went to the same meditation, not at the same time. And I was one of the leads meditation leads. I know it sounds like I'm I'm not that common person to do that, but I try to get into that. I think my voice, I have to watch out for those things. This is how would I talk? I would say, listen, breathe in deeply through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. Yeah, think of calming, think your heart rate slowing down, things like that. You say all these things. You turn down the lights. You light some candles. You play some music in the background. You have a guided meditation. You used to have I think it's called a Tongan meditation. You ever hear that one?
Yep.
That's just a little bell.
Right.
And you move, every time you hear a bell, you move to a different power center. Hey, people, if it works in all sorts of things. There's meditation. There's saying the rosary.
Yeah.
In the Catholic Church, they used to have that. They used to have novenas. That's meditative. The nuns and the monks did those things. That's meditation. They used to, those chants they do, the Gregorian chants, are meditative things. We played one of those. You could meditate to that. And there's Buddhism and Hindu and Jewish mysticism and things like that. But I'm digressing again. We got to talk how you met. We met in the bar. You didn't know me until I started working at the Catch.
Correct.
I know I'm a hard nut to crack when I first come in here, and I never ask anybody this. The first time you met me, what was your impression?
No, I get along with everybody. You know that.
Mm-hmm. But you have to size someone up when they come in here and say like this. I'm a big mouth, right?
No, you try and joke.
What?
You try and make jokes.
Okay.
I'm kind of the same way. You know that.
Yep.
So it was never a problem.
Keith is the one that put in, when I came in, he brought the Corona shirt in. Something, is my dog around there?
No.
Oh, I thought you were looking over my shoulder. I thought something was going on. So he'd look in the window, see what shirt I'm wearing and stuff like that, and put it on. And it was kind of funny because he gave me a shirt. One day I was working, I had a filthy shirt on. He gave me one of his Corona shirts, and I put it on. I appreciate that. But you're never there for the really crazy. You've seen any of the craziness that I've interacted with people and stuff like that?
No, I'm always in and out.
Yeah, you're in and out. You come in there for your bourbon and things like that.
Home.
Speaking of bourbon, on Thursday, I told Keith this. I'm going down to talk to the distiller. This show will be released after I go down. I think I'm going to record one and do a live one down there. I hope. You know what? I got to be really careful because I think I'm going to record it. There's no really benefit doing that because if I miss doing the live one, if it fails, then you lose the whole recording. So I don't think we have to do it. It's not one of those things. The only time I really have to do it live if we're down there on Fantasy Fest, I want to do it, and New Year's Eve. Do a live stream.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I think.
You could come down with me. That would be fun. You guys sit there and talk, and we'll have you, I'll write down pickup lines that you could try on for women when they come up, and I'll just write them down, and you can just say something to them.
I'll be down for that.
Yeah, I know. And just so do you go down to Key West a lot?
Been there twice in my life.
Let me soak that in for a little while right here. You lived in the Keys for over 50 years.
Correct.
And you've been to Key West twice in your lifetime.
That is correct.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's twice in your life.
You've never been to Fantasy Fest?
Well, I've never been to Fantasy Fest either. Though, you know what? I've been down here 12 years. I've been down there maybe 15 times. But I guess that's, if you stretch that over, 4 times that much, that'd be like 48 if you've been down there 48 times. So I'm going to try, and it's next year, to get down there once a month. And that's the goal of this show here. And we get to meet interesting people like you down here and what you see. As a mechanic, I tell bartending stories. Can you tell me one time a weird story about someone coming in, something weird happened to a car, they did something to it, or a repair, or something that was kind of bizarre? The most bizarre repair, the most bizarre customer, the most, most bizarre request you had?
I have a few.
Can you tell me about one?
But the most things down here are the rats eating up the wiring harnesses in cars.
Uh-huh.
And we had a few to come in, and I had a helper.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of rats dead in the AC blower motor.
Yeah.
So I pull it out. And
it must have smelled like hell.
It did.
Uh-huh.
So I made him get the rats out, and he grabbed them with his hand and was walking across the shop holding it by its tail.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Instead of putting gloves on.
Oh, okay. That's what. You got any interesting customers? Anybody famous?
We get some important people in.
You don't have to say who they are. What field are they in?
Well, they're millionaires. They come in with expensive cars. I'll show you pictures from time to time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Some of the stuff I work on.
Yeah? Like what kind of car? Like a Maserati?
Yeah. Jaguars. Ferraris.
That's an interesting car to have down here because of the nature of some of the parking lots. Because a lot of the parking lots are gravel, P-rock. And there used to be a guy who came down here. I don't know if he was friends with. He used to get every other month. He had a different luxury vehicle. Have an Aston Martin, Maserati, nice Porsche, Lamborghini. You name it, he's had it. The closest I got to ride, I drove an Esprit, a Lotus Esprit, when I worked at a dealership, and they were going to give it to me for a month, and I handed it back in 3 days because it was so small. I mean, it was built. They said if you're over 6 feet, you're going to be uncomfortable in it. Like, why the fuck would you even build a car like that? I understand it, but I mean, it was pretty cool, and it was a tiny engine in there, right?
Yeah, it was a small engine.
Yeah, but it was
quick.
Yeah. I remember you knew about the what was it, Quad 4? The Quad 4 was that General Motors one. They made a good one, stuff like that. What is it about? But is it that the engine gets worn down faster with 4 cylinders, or does it matter because you have to fire the cylinder more to develop more power and create greater compression?
On that, it's mostly the maintenance. If you don't keep the maintenance up, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because the Quad 4 had the head gasket problem.
Oh, yeah? Oh, the pressure?
Yes.
You build up a lot of pressure, especially when it's small.
And it is a twin cam.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd always build the head gaskets.
Yeah. So, how about the rotary engine? You do a lot of that?
We don't do none of that.
No?
They ain't around that much anymore.
Yeah, what would that used to be? What car?
That used to be in the Mazda.
The Mazda, the rotary? Yeah. Wankel invented the rotary.
Yeah.
I know that. You know where I know that from?
Where's that?
Because of the movie you watched, My Blue Heaven, Steve Martin and Rick Moranis.
I knew that when I was in college. I had to learn that.
Oh, yeah? The rotary? Okay. They came up with a lot of weird things. The weirdest engine was the 864. Or was it the 468?
The 468.
Yeah. Now, to explain the concept there, it was General Motors.
Correct.
They used it on their top-of-the-line Cadillacs. I don't know if they did it on the Caprice.
Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile on the Caprice, maybe?
Yes.
And the idea was that when you need a lot of power, it would be 8 cylinders running. When you get cruising speed, you'd be 6 cylinders. And if you're like in the city, just...
You'd be 4 cylinders.
4 cylinders. How'd that work out?
Not very well. They had a lot of problems with it, issues with it.
Yeah, because with computers, I guess you could do it because you could make...
Well, that's what they were doing it with.
No, but the better computers now, because you'd have to randomize. You'd have to randomize this to make sure that the pistons don't get worn more, right?
Well, they had to randomize it to keep the balance of the motor to be smooth.
Yeah.
Because if you had 2 pistons firing at the same time, it wouldn't be very smooth.
No.
But not like Ford has. They have a deal where if your car gets hot, it could have 4 cylinders, so it don't overheat.
What? If
the Ford pickup trucks have a system where if your engine's getting hot, it'll take 4 cylinders out, 1 bank of cylinders, so it won't overheat on you. It's called heat protection.
Well, wouldn't that make the other 4 cylinders have to work harder when you demand more power out of less?
Yes, but the 4 cylinders that ain't firing starts reducing heat because they're just sucking air in.
Okay. Oh, so you're
Cooling
adding to the cooling process instead of the cumulative effect of all
Correct.
the cylinder heads building up heat. Okay.
Correct.
Well, that's shit. There's so much I didn't know. I tell you, my experience with that, I think there was a trauma of being a youth one time when I'm not going to talk about the putting on a fender and bumper on my Levi Edition 1980 AMC Hornet, or the AMC Rebel that I drove from South Jersey, deep South Jersey, to Central Jersey through the Pine Barrens in a thunderstorm at night, and it was a piece of shit. And it was a shift on the column, and that's the worst. I always had a hard time with shift on the column when it was. I'm not automatically. I'm talking about
manual 3-speed.
Manual 3-speed on there. I always had a problem with that. I could do regular gear shift, but I mean, the first time I did that, I did it on a VW. VW is one to learn on, right?
Yep.
It was simple. It's with an H. I guess you call it H with that right, and just feel I could
up
just
and down.
up now, and then when you go reverse, you push it down and pull it down, and that was those Germans, they're nasty with the Holocaust and genocide, but they're really good with that engineering shit.
Yeah, they do all right.
Yeah, all right. So listen, we're at the end of the show right here. I want to thank you for coming in, Keith. I wanted to introduce you since you've been a loyal listener, and I appreciate that, and a good friend. And I wish you all the best, and probably have you on. You're going to be more comfortable next. I want to probably get you so you don't have to do that thing with the mic and stuff. When I say that thing with the mic, it sounds like a weird thing you're doing. He's shoving it up his ass. No, he's not shoving it. He's holding it, and he's had shoulder damage from being a mechanic, and you could do some Reiki healing on or something like that. We could heal that shoulder.
We'll do something.
Yeah. So I had a problem with shoulders about 4 months ago, right before I went to Poland, and it was a bitch, but it's all healed up now and stuff like that. I don't know what it was. I think it was tendon damage. Well, we're at the end of our time. I want to thank Keith for being here. I said that already. I want to thank the Catch restaurant for employing me.
That's
If
important.
it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd have the podcast. I guess later today I'll talk about in the next episode I'll be talking about my endeavors in the publishing world, right there. And pornography. No, not in pornography. Animal porn. No, not animal porn. But listen, if you do like the show and you enjoy us, become a subscriber. Share it with your friends. Maybe stay. It's not. We're not as filthy as we were in the beginning. You said in there, it got kind of gratuitously filthy.
A little bit.
Yeah, and you being a working man yourself, you're not filthy and thing. You tell R-rated jokes, but it doesn't get really. You're not filthy. No. I don't think I'm filthy either.
No,
I just told you, I'm sure jerking off and all that stuff. I can work out of a adult store. I have no problem doing that. I really don't. I mean, you say doing a podcast from there, and if we did do one, and if you were there, I'd have you ask the questions.
You get in trouble then.
No. What I do is I put out a sign, say, only come up to us if you want to talk on the podcast, so we can ask you some questions. Then I would pick the people you would talk to.
That'd be all right.
I think I'd pick the right people. I have a feeling that if there was a very attractive woman, I think you'd be nervous.
No.
I think, okay, I'm just guessing. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I think you might be nervous. You're kind of a shy guy sometimes. No, not really. But you gotta. Sometimes it takes a soft approach with certain people.
Right.
Now, the other night we had these girls come in. They were nightclub gowns with they had good looking guys too. The guys were good looking too. I'm easy, man. I can say they're young people. They were from the ages of 22 to 25, and the girls were just stunning. And they came in and they said, "Hey, where's the good?" I didn't go like that. Hey, but they said, "Hey, Hey, where's a good nightclub around here? We want to go clubbing tonight. You're in the Upper Keys? You want to go clubbing? I went and you know what? They didn't. I was ready to say there's nothing really they could do. So I said, you should go out and have a couple drinks and then go to the Caribbean Club around 11 o'clock. And this was on, was it last night? Or Sunday night? It was Sunday night. So that could have been last night. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's an age thing. Look at this. We're in 45 minutes. Keith, say goodbye.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Okay. You're welcome, buddy. Talk to you later, people.